So, Nintendo did what Nintendo does and did a Nintendo Direct after the Summer Game Fest. I'm going to be talking about all the stuff that happened during it. Well, not all the stuff. I'm going to be talking about a majority of the stuff that happened. I'm going to exclude some things because I don't have a lot to talk about with certain games, but I will be talking about a majority of them. I think this Direct was good, if you want my opinion. There was a lot of filler in this Direct, but once you got through all the filler, this was actually a pretty cool Direct with a lot of Nintendo's heavy hitters at the forefront. So, let's talk about the Nintendo Direct for June 2024. The very first announcement was for Mario and Luigi Brothership. This is a brand new game in the Mario and Luigi series, which is another RPG series. And people have been talking about this, and it is crazy. The fact that we've gotten all three of the mainline Mario RPG stuff on one system in the span of a year. We had the Mario RPG remake, we had the Paper Mario Thousand Year Door remake, and now we're getting a new Mario and Luigi game. I do have a little bit of concerns regarding this game, purely from the fact that it is not being developed by Alpha Dream, because Alpha Dream was dissolved after the failure of the last Mario RPG. But I like the visual style. I think it looks amazing. If this new development team can really just capture that Mario and Luigi essence, then I feel like this will be a good time. I'll definitely be picking this up, and it's coming out very soon, so that'll be nice. Next up was this NES Championship game. It looks very similar to those NES volumes 1 and 2 that were on the Wii U, where it's like quick bite-sized like challenges in old school games to like spice them up. And those games were pretty cool. So if this is anything like those games, then I'll probably enjoy this. The big difference with this game is that it's including online multiplayer. It's not really online multiplayer, it's you racing against ghosts, which is kind of lame, but overall, this does look like a pretty fun time. I just hope they don't charge $60 for this. Like, this seems like a game that would be perfect to like throw it on the Switch for like $20 or something, and just have people like try out. I don't feel like people will try this out for $60, but yeah, this looks cool. Anime. Then there was a Nintendo Switch Sports update. I mean, try all you want, Nintendo, but honestly, you doomed this game from the start. Adding more content updates, I don't think is really going to save anything, especially considering it took them 6 months to add golf, a mode that was in the original at day one. I don't know. It's fine to see this. They're adding a basketball mode, but I just don't care anymore. Okay, now this one looked really cool. This is Mio, Memories in Orbit. This looks pretty cool. It's a very stylish looking 2D platformer with a really cool looking art style. I've been seeing a lot of comparisons to Hollow Knight, and I feel like that's kind of a disservice to it. Just saying that something looks like Hollow Knight and like completely disregarding it. This looks really cool. I like the look of it. I like the look of the movement and the combat. I really hope it's not a Metroidvania or a roguelite. They didn't really say what it is. I hope that this is just a traditional 2D platformer, because it does kind of suck to see like a game that looks like I've had that before, where you see 2D platformers that look super interesting and then it turns out they're a Metroidvania or a roguelike, and I'm like, that's cool. I just would have preferred if I would run around like a traditional level like this. So I guess we'll see when that comes out in 2025. So that's going to be a while till we see more of this game. Then there was like an update for that Mickey Mouse platformer and Looney Tunes. Not bad looking, but just not really something I'm interested in. That Looney Tunes game looks awful. Anime. Next up is Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, which looks really cool. There's never really been a definitive edition of this game. There was the one on the Wii, which looked really good and played really good, except for the horrible motion controls that Nintendo tried to do. Then there was the one on the 3DS, which didn't have motion controls, but now you had to play it on this tiny little device, and it looked worse than the Wii version. So now I'm hoping that this version of the game combines the best of both of the previous versions to create something really special. It looks really cool. I'm definitely going to be picking it up and playing it. I can't wait for this to come out. Then they showed off Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake, and that name will absolutely not be annoying to say at all. This looks pretty cool. It's like they're taking Dragon Quest III and turning it into something more akin to Octopath Traveler in terms of visuals. Looks really cool. This got announced like a while ago, but now we're actually seeing more on it, and it's got a release date of this year. They also announced Dragon Quest 1 and 2 will be getting the same treatment, but next year. 3-1-2. Someone should really tell them how to count. And then there was a Funko game with a bunch of Funko Pop stuff, like Back to the Future and Jurassic Park and Freddy Fazbear. I don't know about this one. It kind of looks okay, but this feels like it looks very much like Lego Dimensions, but with like Funko Pops. I don't know. I'm not really that big on this one. Then there was Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. This also got announced a while ago, and this is just sort of an update on it. I'm not really a big Luigi's Mansion guy, and I've heard the second one is the worst one, so I'm not sure exactly why they're porting this game to the Switch. But, I mean, maybe it's just like a proof of concept to show that you can port 3DS games to the Switch, and if so, that's pretty cool. I just don't know why they chose this game to show that off with. Next up was the announcement of more stuff for Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack, including The Legend of Zelda 4 Swords Adventures, which is very cool to get that game ported and now playable in a reasonable fashion. Originally, you had to have 4 people that all had Game Boy Advances and this game to play it, so now you can just play it online, which is pretty cool. Then was Metroid Zero Mission. That's a remake of the first Metroid. Makes sense that it's on here. I've heard good stuff about it. Then they announced that Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack is also going to include a new thing with Nintendo 64 mature games. The two they showed off was Turok and the original Perfect Dark, which it makes sense that Perfect Dark is here as the reboot got announced for Xbox not a while ago, so now this gives a way for people to play the original. This is pretty cool. Anime. Then there was the Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection. This is big, mainly for one particular game. That being Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which is a game that doesn't get ported that often, so to see it actually on a modern console is pretty cool. Not to mention it also has online multiplayer, which will make it even more worth it. The other games also look cool. There's like an X-Men fighting game and a Punisher one. I might actually pick this up, if not just for Marvel vs. Capcom 2. That's pretty cool. Then there was the announcement of a new Mario Party game, which I'm not too big on. If I wanted to play a party game with friends and family when they come over, I usually just whip out Mario Kart. I'm not really a big Mario Party guy, but this looks cool for people who want it. The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. Now this is big. The very first Zelda game where you actually get to play as Zelda. They showed off this pretty cool mechanic of being able to copy and paste stuff, which means that different players will experience the game differently, which is pretty cool. There's like a bunch of different ways to go about doing stuff. It really lends to the freedom that games like Breath of the Wild offer, but now in a 2D space, which is pretty cool, I think. The switch in Protagonist is also pretty cool. Finally getting to experience a game where you play as Zelda in a franchise named after her. is honestly pretty cool. It's in the Link's Awakening remake art style too, which I've always loved that art style, though I am concerned a little bit because that game in particular didn't run the best on Switch with constant frame drops, but who knows, maybe they fixed it this time. I'll definitely be picking this one up when it comes out. Next up is the announcement of Stray coming to Nintendo Switch 2 years after it launched. Well, that's nice. It's cool for people who want to play it, but I found Stray to be kind of mediocre when it originally launched. It is cool that you can now play this on the Switch, but this really didn't do anything for me. Then there was a Lord of the Rings farming sim, because of course there is. Obviously, there's a Lord of the Rings farming sim where you get to play as a hobbit in a shire, tending to your garden. You know, the most boring part of all the Lord of the Rings stories, when they're just sitting around the shire doing nothing. Let's turn that into a video game. That'll be so much fun. Screw you, Warner Brothers. Next up was the announcement of another Ace Attorney collection, this one being focused on the spin-off series with the villain, and it also includes a game that was previously inaccessible to America as it was only released in Japan. It's now being localized and remastered, being over here. But if you want, you can also swap back to the original art style, so you're given the choice of either having the remaster graphics or the old graphics, which means everybody wins. This seems pretty cool. Anime. And then it happened. 7 years. 7 long years. This game was one of the very first games announced for the Switch. It's been delayed and pushed back and redone so many times. Everybody thought it was gone. But it's not. It's here. And it looks beautiful. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. This looks fantastic. As a massive fan of the looks of the Metroid Prime remake that recently came out last year, this looks like they took the graphics of that game and supercharged it. The gameplay looks as fun as ever, and I can't wait to see where they take the story of this game. This was by far the best thing shown off at the Direct, and it was worthy of being the last thing. Nintendo knew how much people have been waiting for this game, and seeing it now was glorious. In summary, I'd say that this Nintendo Direct was one of the best. Sure, it had its filler, but when they did bring out the big guns, they brought them out. With these massive games that they showed off. Big releases, big names like Metroid, Zelda, Donkey Kong, Mario and Luigi. And showing off Metroid Prime 4, it was amazing. So many new and innovative ideas shown off at Nintendo while also innovating on the old ideas. It feels like that Nintendo is finally listening to what people actually want, and I'm here for it. That's all I got for now. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, and hit that bell icon to be notified for whenever I make a new video. I also do reviews on this channel, so if you're interested in that, or interested in supporting the channel more, then go check those videos out. Okay, that's it. Bye.